Not only had I always seemed to be like her mother, her best friend, her filter, her teacher, her helper, her leader, now I had to be her rescuer. I had to get the phone book. It was back before Google. The phone book to find their phone number, to find their address, because I didn't know where they lived. I knew the apartment. I didn't know the number. I got it out of the phone book. I called them saying, you have to bring Tara back. They've called the police. I've told them where you live. You have to bring Tara back. Several hours later, they dumped her out at Glen Rose in Nolensville Road, Circle K. She was 12 years old. And this isn't airing her dirty laundry. Tara is very simple. She will freely tell you anything. And I'm going to keep this private just because I don't want to be the one to tell her children if she hasn't already. Which, frankly, it's none of their business. My children won't even see this. I won't let Katie watch this. She slept with 3 men that day. Lytle Chadwick, Nene Phillips, Nathaniel, whatever you want to call him, and Nene's daddy. Or uncle something. And to tell you how simple and how naive and innocent Tara was, just dying for some kind of love and affection that she never got. She was explaining to me her sexual experience later with Lytle, that he all of a sudden stopped and peed on her stomach. I knew when she told me that. I knew what he really did, and I was glad. But all I kept hearing was, it's my fault. It's my fault. I planned it. I fell asleep. I asked her, why did she go anyways? She said she didn't know. She couldn't have made the decision. No, I'm not going to go without Wendy. I'll wait for her. It was just, that was the plan. She had to stick with it. She was sitting, I lived at the corner of Burbank and Oriole, and she was sitting on top of the slide at the playground across the street. On top of the slide. And when they honked the horn, she slid down. 12 years old. A little kid. But I knew better. I can't. How do you live with that? How do you live with that? So I've shared all that. If you haven't watched the previous videos, you need to. Blah. I shared all that with Ron. He understood. He had questions of, were we promiscuous before? Did we know what was going to happen? Did we know what we was going to do? I would have been right there with her. I would have been right there with her. I know I would have. I hate that. Part of me is glad I fell asleep. But then I'm even more mad that I'm glad I fell asleep. How do you work that out in your mind? So Ron's answer for me was, when you work through it and you get to the anger and you have to place it somewhere, place it where it goes. Place it with Rhonda. Where was her mother? Where was her mother? It helps to have people that listen. That care like Ron does. That will tell you it's okay. I don't want somebody giving me some, you were 13 years old, you couldn't have known better, generic, you was a little kid answer. The guilt is real. I don't care how old I was. There has to be blame for that. When something happens to a kid, there has to be blame laid. And I carried that for over 20 years. Ron told me to lay it at her mother's feet. Where was her mother? So then, as you can see, my mind is a process. From laying that at her mother's feet, I've come to where I am now, which is one furious woman / 13-year-old kid with a lot of questions that I will never get answers to. For the first time in my life, I wondered, why did my great-grandmother raise Tara? Where was her freaking grandmother? You have to do the math in your head. I don't know the exact dates. My mother was 16 when she had me. And Tara is a year younger than me. And I'm pretty sure Rhonda is a year or two younger than my mother. So we're looking at my mother pregnant at 15, and more than likely Rhonda pregnant at 15. What's going on with the parenting skills here? I don't even know how to word it. That it's not. I'm lost on it. I'm completely lost. My grandmother is probably my closest, probably the closest blood relative I had that cared about me growing up. Mama, my mother's mother. And my attachment to her and her being like my mother, that my mother absolutely hates and is jealous over. But having that attachment to her and then backing up and seeing all this and having hurt feelings and questions, and it's messing my mind up. It would be like me and Danny giving up Katie and his great-grandmother raising her. Where the crap is Annette and my mother, you know? If Katie was to get pregnant, we're not giving the baby to some Joe Blow relative way on down the line. It should be Katie's responsibility, and if Katie can't handle it, hello, I'm a mother, grandmother, ain't nobody gonna cross that line. And maybe I think that way because of my family history, I don't know. But to me, that's just ludicrous. It's insane. Why did my great-grandmother raise her? Where was her grandmother? Where was her mother?